EPA WA meteorologist Bobby Marchich here with your outlook for June 29th, 2021. We have very hot and humid conditions over the next couple of days. Kind of a continuation of what we saw yesterday, really building in. And I think we're going to actually take a step even forward and even higher than that with the temperatures and those humidity values both today and tomorrow as we see our peak heating days. This video forecast is sponsored by the Reading Fightin' Phils. They are on the road this week, playing Erie on the road, and they will be back home beginning Tuesday of next week, and that will be against the Harrisburg Senators. You can get your tickets at rphils.com. They actually have two consecutive home weeks as we head into the end of the first week of July onward. The first one is against Harrisburg, of course. The second one is against the Portland Sea Dogs the following week. Now, that's not Portland as in very hot Portland out in the western United States. That is Portland, Maine. But we'll get to the hot stuff in here in a minute here with the Northwest U.S. Today is, that's by request, by the way. I'm going to address that. Here is the temperatures here for the next couple of days. We have our own issues to deal with. Not nearly as hot as what we saw out in the Pacific Northwest, but still, this is going to be pretty hot for this area here. And it's not so much the temperatures here being in the mid-90s, in some places upper 90s each of the next 2 days. You combine that with the humidity, you're talking about heat indices that are going to be the 100 to 105 degree range, which is pretty darn hot, okay? You're definitely going to feel it over the next couple of days like we started to feel yesterday. So today is going to be a carbon copy almost from what we saw yesterday as far as precipitation goes. We had very few and far in between pop-up showers that occurred yesterday, and that's pretty much happening today in the same time frame, kind of like diurnally driven early afternoon through maybe early evening is the window, okay? Probably late afternoon is more likely. But we're going to have temperatures already above 80 degrees by the time we get to mid-morning already by 9 a.m., and it's going to keep going. This is just a simulation from the HRR. It might not be necessarily exact what it's going to be at each location, at each timestamp, but you get the general idea here. Temperatures keep going up and up and up, and they settle here in the middle 90s in some places, even getting in the upper 90s. A couple of 96s and 97s popping up on here as well. So it's going to be very hot. Combine that with the humidity, you'll have some heat index values that are going to be between 100 and 105 degrees today. So take it easy if you can, if you're outdoors. Now this is a ridge that's now overhead. It's a 594 decameter ridge that's elongated. That has retrograded a little bit further west than it was yesterday. So it's going to allow this ridge to be directly over top or right overhead. So with any ridge, you have sinking air in the middle underneath that dome of high pressure that's at the up here at the 500 millibar level, and you can see that here. This big circle right here is where that is. Pacific Northwest has something similar. The only difference is here, this is part of an omega block. So there's an omega blocking pattern here, which at the pinnacle of this ridge, which just happens to be over the Pacific Northwest and parts of British Columbia here, you're getting some insane sinking air. Now, they don't have the humidity quite as much as we do here, not nearly as much as we do here, but you're still getting temperatures like yesterday in Portland, Oregon, not as opposed to Portland, Maine that I just talked about earlier. Portland, Oregon reached 116 degrees yesterday, which is an all-time record high. I keep hearing the word unprecedented thrown out there with relation to these temperatures from some media outlets, and I just need to... I did this on Twitter yesterday. I put something up about this, that there's a big difference between saying something is unprecedented, because just because it never happened before or hasn't been recorded before doesn't mean it didn't happen before. So unprecedented implies that it never happened ever, okay? If you say it's the hottest temperature in recorded history, totally different animal, and that's okay. That's good, because we've always been keeping records out in this area since sometime in the 1900s, okay? So who's to say that something before that didn't happen when this wasn't inhabited yet by anyone in the United States? You got to remember the westward expansion that we had in the western United States happened in the mid-1850s. Remember the California Gold Rush we all learned about when we were in grade school? Same idea. This is the west coast here. This area, once they got up and established as cities and were incorporated, then they started keeping records out in these areas, and that wasn't until I think the 1940s or something like that. So before that, there were certainly some hot days, and you could have had this. An omega block is not an unusual phenomenon, so you could have had that there too. But you have two ridges here. In the middle, there's a little bit of a trough here in the central part of the country, but this is the reason for our heat here and their heat there, okay? It looks a little more ominous here with these colors because this is an anomaly, so this is well above it for this particular area, okay? this same ridge was over here, it would be not quite as red, if that makes sense. So the height difference is not as anomalous here as it is there, so that's why the difference in color. But regardless, they had very hot temperatures out there. I'm not going to deny that, and but you know, it's all relative, okay? So as far as precipitation today, you just have a straight chance for a shower or storm. Is going to be the same areas. NAM high-res Future Simulator radar outlines those same areas basically that had it yesterday, right along the ridge line here, parts of the southern Poconos, and went back to, you know, generally the Harrisburg area. It's just a small area. And then once that goes away and dissipates, then you have a little bit more activity, just like yesterday, right along the New York-Pennsylvania border. So very similar outcome in terms of precipitation. Once we get to Wednesday, though, I think you're going to get a little bit better of a chance as we get into the afternoon and evening with a prefrontal trough, it looks like, that's going to push some thunderstorms through there, at least the northern parts of a region with some scattered thunderstorms. We kept it isolated further south, for areas further south, but for across northeast PA, the chances will be a little bit higher. Could be a rogue, stronger storm in there as well. Could produce some gusty winds. So we'll keep an eye on that here for your Wednesday. But again, Wednesday, peak heating here is the next 2 days, and it's just going to be very hot. Downright hot here. Both days are going to have heat indices very similar, the 100 to 105 degree range, which is really the bottom line. Whatever the temperatures is one thing. What it feels like is a totally different animal. Once we get to Wednesday, we have this prefrontal trough moving at us. Again, northern areas have the best chance to get those scattered showers and thunderstorms. And then once we get to Thursday, I think it's going to be a more concentrated effort here for scattered showers and thunderstorms, more numerous across the region. And favoring the afternoon, but you could have something maybe come in already late morning in some areas. But I think you're going to have numerous scattered showers and thunderstorms here on Thursday. And then once we get to Friday, the frontal boundary is going to start pushing through here in the morning on Friday. Could be some leftover showers with that, with the frontal boundary. Then the European model is trying to show some drying in between here as we head later in the afternoon and evening. Not sure about clearing. It doesn't look like you're going to have that because you have an upper level low still sitting in the vicinity here. Now, as far as the weekend's concerned, this upper level low is going to play a role, and how quickly it moves out is going to play a role in our weekend forecast. There's still today a lot of high degree of uncertainty of how it's going to evolve, with this upper level low being modeled to be several 100 miles apart depending on what piece of guidance you're looking at. I mean, you had the GFS earlier today. You had the upper level low sitting over the Chicago area. You had, I think you had the Canadian. It was up north of Toronto. So, I mean, it's quite a spread here. And, you know, the European model sitting right here over northwestern Pennsylvania is where the center of the upper level low is, or upper level trough is. So they all have different outcomes with how the weekend evolves. And here's Saturday. There's a surface low associated with this in southeastern New York over the Hudson River Valley, as modeled here. It could bring some wraparound showers to at least northern parts of our region. I'm not sure if it gets this far south. Some other models are indicating that it still will. So we're leaving Saturday variably cloudy with a chance for a few scattered showers possible. I don't know if it's an all-day event either. As we head toward the evening, it starts wrapping up. So this might be just like maybe early on Saturday, or maybe bleeding into the afternoon for some northern areas. But I don't think it's an all-day thing. And it looks like this is going to start pulling away here on Sunday. So the actual 4th of July holiday looks better, in my opinion. Now, this could certainly change, but our official forecast right now is a 40% chance of showers on Saturday, maybe a little bit higher as you get further north, closer to the New York-Pennsylvania border, and lesser further south, like, say, towards Philadelphia, South Jersey, and Delaware. But in the middle, you're kind of about 40%. Okay, a chance for showers here on Saturday, but not an all-day washout type thing. Once you get to Sunday, we're following European guidance for now that keeps it relatively dry across the region, kind of like a partly sunny day, partly to mostly cloudy kind of thing here on Sunday for the holiday itself, but leaning drier, okay? I don't think it's going to continue all weekend long. It's hard to get these cutoff lows and upper-level troughs to just sit around for days and days upon end this time of year. Not impossible, so I don't want to write this off, but that's our forecast rate right now and the latest we have for this weekend. So, you know, we'll continue to follow us throughout the week. I'll give you the latest information as it changes. I'm sure it will over the next couple of days. You continue to show you what the worst case scenario is, which is shower threats for Saturday at least, and kind of hope for the best as we move closer. And, you know, hopefully the models continue to trend in that direction. Right now it's too early to call definitively, but we'll get there. hopefully by mid to late week we get a better idea. I know it's kind of last minute, but with these upper level lows, you kind of have to do that. Just be patient and see how it works out. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchers. That is your outlook for June 29, 2021. Have a great Tuesday.